And welcome back. It's time to run away and go to the circus, I think. And Cirque du Soleil Kooza is in town, and we want to welcome Duncan Cameron to our program.
Hello,
One
hello.
of the featured performers in the program.
I'm featured very heavily. In fact, you can't ever miss me. I'm like on the stage the whole time.
And if you're not seeing you, you're hearing you. You guys are loud too, and it's a heck of a show. I got to see the show a couple weeks ago, and it's frenetic. It is going on, right? It's nonstop kind of a feel. What's that like for you to be part of a show like this?
I mean, personally, I love shows where I'm really, really active. I don't like to go off stage and sit down and twiddle my thumbs. I want to be alive and active. I think it's really important as being a clown is like just keeping that energy going and up. And but yeah, it is sweaty business. It is very sweaty business. As clowns, I've never had to run so much in my life.
Yeah, you guys are running. So for folks who don't know, Cirque has been going on for many, many years, and there's variations of. There's Vegas ones, there's ones that tour. You guys are in the touring show, and this is a new one called Kooza. Tell me a little bit about the background of Kooza and what it's all about.
Well, Kooza, yeah, actually, it's interesting. Kooza's got 17 years to it, actually. This is the 17th year of Kooza, so it's actually relatively an old show. There are older shows, like Miss Dare's 30 years old or something like this. But yeah, Kooza's great because it's sort of an homage to traditional circus. So it's got a lot of traditional circus flair with Cirque du Soleil's contemporary artistic fling, you know. So it's a really beautiful show. It's really exciting. You've got all the traditional circus ways of performing and shooting out all these tricks. Bam! It's amazing. And then there's story to it as well. And obviously you see the costumes and the aesthetic. It's just got Cirque du Soleil all over it.
Yeah, it definitely has a story that runs through this. A little boy in the park trying to fly his kite at first, and then this magical box shows up, and all of a sudden the magic really starts to happen, and we have this people kind of guiding him through these experiences and that whole thing. What's it like for you to go out there? I mean, this is exhausting, and you're doing this many, many nights a week.
I mean, honestly, the audience give me the energy.
Okay.
When the audience are there, it's hard to, even if I'm super exhausted and my body's wrecked and I'm tired at the end of the week, but I go out there and in front of the audience, like you find that energy. You see the energy of the people, the excitement of the kids' eyes. You know, everybody's so excited. It's that nostalgia feeling going into a circus tent. You know, there's something about that whole experience going inside, and everybody's in this communal tent, and the show starts, and you can just see the energy starts getting, you know, starts fizzling, and then my job is to try to hype up the crowd a little bit. I go out 10 minutes before the show, and I start messing around. I start playing with the audience and meeting everybody. And that's when everybody really starts focusing in, and everybody knows that they're in a communal space. And it's really hard not to be excited about that.
Well, you're very excited about it. You're born in Canada, and you live in the UK. When did you know you wanted to run away and be part of the circus? How did it all start for you?
It's sort of, I mean, it's interesting for me because growing up, my older brother, he's 12 years older than me, but he was doing clowning since I was such a young kid. Yeah, I was about 5 or 6 when he started wearing a red nose and doing all that sort of stuff. So I kind of grew up watching him doing clowning, and then he went to an arts high school where he was doing improv, and then he went overseas to study with a famous French clown teacher in Paris. So
now, are there still clown colleges kind of thing? Are they still out there?
Oh, they are exploding in popularity.
Really? Okay.
There's so many now. In fact, clowning is becoming the hip new thing.
And that's not a joke. There really are clown colleges. I don't want people to think I'm making a joke about that.
You can go take classes yourself.
Enroll today.
Oh yeah, and especially down here in LA, there's a lot of famous clowns here that you know. My peer group that I really look up to, they've got their own Netflix specials and things like that. They're voiceover actors for cartoons and stuff like this. But so I followed my brother, who also did Cirque du Soleil. He was in Kooza briefly for the past couple cities, and I was performing with him recently, so that was super cool. And that's sort of how I fell into circus in a way.
Now, are there different kind of pathways you can take? Is there more physical clowning, or is there more animation, or working with the crowd? Are there different areas you can?
Oh, there's so many different kinds of clowns, right? Like there's for me, I was always more of like a theater clown, perhaps. Like I was more doing clowning in theater, which also led me to street theater. street theater sort of leads to circus, but you can find different styles of clowning in all of these different places. There's even like, hospital clowning where they go into hospitals, and there's a very sensitive area where, they're a lot more gentle. They wouldn't, wouldn't maybe be doing the same stuff that we're doing in the circus, right?
It's a little much.
But there's so many different styles of clowning now, and there always has been, but it's becoming more and more popular to study these things. And you can do physical theater. They all sort of lead into the same family, so it's really interesting.
So where did you get your very first start in this? Well, I know like you said, your brother was doing it, and you obviously were inspired by that.
My first start. This is my first show, Kooza with Cirque du Soleil.
Very first. Okay.
With Cirque du Soleil.
What did you do? Were you doing it beforehand though?
I've been clowning my whole career. Yeah, so I've been for the past 15 years. I've been clowning and doing strange things for a living. But I have a theater company in England where I live. So I live over there, and I've been creating a lot of kind of alternative cabaret and clowning shows. The inherently what makes it clowning is that I'm playing with the audience, or I'm extra aware of the audience. I'm not saying text and ignoring the audience. I'm there looking at the audience and sometimes improvising with them.
Okay.
So yeah, that's for me where that line.
And is Kooza something the Cirque, something you applied for, or you just kind of were there open auditions? How does that work?
Oh, the process is massive because timelines in big scale circus is a lot longer. The contracts are like a year minimum to 2 years. So I applied 8-9 years ago in a general audition. I had to send a video just to be in the audition, the physical audition.
Okay.
So it was a video, and then I went into the live audition. There was 40 people, and they were cutting as they were going throughout the day, so it was a long day. And I was one of 2 people that got a little slip of paper that said, I'm on their database. And Cirque's database only means that I will be allowed to get other casting opportunities. So they would send me more auditions, and I would audition for this part.
Oh, wow.
And I had to turn down a couple of ones because it didn't work with my life at the time. I would have had to, I would have had to cancel my wedding, for example. I would have gotten in trouble for that one. So let's skip that one. But I'm really happy that Kooza has been my first introduction into the Cirque du Soleil world because honestly, it's such a beautiful show. I'm super happy to be here.
And how do you feel like you're an artist, but you're also an entertainer and a kind of comedian and all those kind of things? How do you combine the art of it with the clowning and the fun?
It's interesting. Sometimes I forget how many skill sets that I'm using in our act because I'm doing sound effects. I'm trying to manage audience members on the stage. We have volunteer work, so I have to really be able to read my audience sometimes if I'm going close to them. So I would say a lot of the artistry is in the skill set that I'm using when I'm performing that is really invisible to a lot of the audience members. They don't really realize that how much I'm actually doing in terms of spacing and trying to there's 3 of us clowns on the stage at any time, and if anybody starts to improvise or changes something or starts to do something, I have to balance the stage and try to make sure that everything's sort of working cohesively so the audience understand where to look, when to look, where's the joke, when to laugh, sort of thing, because otherwise it gets a bit messy. So it's actually there's a lot of I would say artistry or skill sets going on behind the goofiness.
So when you're not doing your stuff, what would you say is the thing you've watched the most? To say, oh man, I'm always impressed by when these guys are on. I'm always watching.
Oh, it's really hard because I'm working.
On the spot.
I'm working with.
You have to work with these people and say, why wasn't I your favorite?
No, you know what? It's just every day. I don't take them for granted, because I work with Greek goddesses and gods. They're all so perfect. All these human beings they're so talented. So sometimes you go, oh, you know what? That act was it's maybe not my favorite. But then when I see them training backstage, I notice the amount of craft that's going into it and the amount of skill and strength. So honestly, it fluctuates for me because I'm like, wow, that handstand guy, holy moly, look at those abs. It's very impressive to look at.
Yeah.
But then I wouldn't take it. Then you start looking at the tissue, the silks, the lady that is the Artist.
That's so beautiful.
She's amazing, and the amount of strength that she has. Every so often she tells me just to hang on her silks, just to hold, and the amount of grip strength that you need just to hang on some tissue. I can barely last 30 seconds. I it's amazing.
It's an incredible show, and folks can go see it. It's still over in the Laguna Hills Mall parking lot for a little while longer. Make sure you get out there. It is an amazing show. I've seen it. A great performer here in Duncan Cameron. And Duncan, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
There you go.
Perfect.
Thanks, Duncan.
See you soon, everybody.
You're watching This Day. We'll be right back.